The biggest impact right now is the slick roads and the power outages.
Our team is positioned across the region. We will have various live reports from each of them.
Enjoy the beauty of what's going on and don't drive out here.
Right now on WRAL, the first major winter storm of 2016 is bearing down on North Carolina right now. That snow is really coming down in a lot of places.
I mean, we've been watching it through the morning, and when we all came in this morning, it was nothing, nada. And it has changed quickly.
Just that cold, very dry Arctic air. And so, yeah, you got to stay bundled and covered up as much as possible.
Is what we have seen a lot of power lines like right above us where I'm traveling right now.
Roxborough up in Person County really getting it.
But it immediately began to cover the roadways. Of course, just saw that DOT truck going by. They are dumping sand and salt.
Well, we've had 2- and 3-inch reports in Roxborough. One just came in at 4.5 inches in Person County.
When weather like this is coming, choose wisely. There are nuances and knowing that come with more than 130 years combined experience. There's only one weather team with that.
Our promise to you, you will be 100% informed, period.
Road conditions still really bad in and around Raleigh.
They were coming around a corner and they hit that pile of slush, and boy, those wheels were spinning, so you really have to be careful.
We have snow on the ground, 3 inches and counting.
Icicles hanging off the top of that camera lens there.
About 7 hours now into this winter weather storm, and we are still here with you. This is WRAL's live team coverage of the winter weather storm.
It continues to be a mess outside. It is maneuverable, but boy, it's tough. And if you can stay in today, we urge you to, the governor urges you to, the Highway Patrol does. It is treacherous. Those roads are coated, and that would make for slow going anywhere on roads like this.
A lot of slush on the roads. Our team is positioned across the region. We will have various live reports from each of them throughout the night.
We're here on North Center Street in Selma in Johnston County, right in front of where a tree went down on top of a house. Between 4 and 4:30 is when we're told this happened. There were 2 people inside of the house, a father and a son, we're told, were in the back of the house. Fortunately, they are okay. However, you can see significant damage to the front of the house, the porch completely damaged, and a part of the rooftop, the roof is damaged as well.
And one of the big problems we've noticed today, crashes involving jackknife tractor trailers. One of them was in Durham on I-85 near Guest Road.
And as we take a look at that live camera there, you can see that it's another one of these accidents that involves a tractor trailer, and it's blocking all but one lane on the eastbound side of I-40.
12 hours of ice and snow are getting the better of trees and power lines all across the area at this hour. This house in Johnston County, just one example of what we will be seeing time and time again as the temperatures dip again.
Freezing rain, sleet, and snow have covered area roads, causing dozens of crashes and thousands of power outages. Hello, everyone. I'm Deborah Morgan.
And I'm David Crabtree. Right now, we're getting several reports of trees falling, in some cases on top of homes. Now, we have been with you throughout the day, keeping you informed about what's happening right now and what we can expect in the hours ahead.
The DOT had 50 trucks and 7 graders on the roads across Wake County, along with about 24 contractors. WRAL's Cullen Browder checked out their progress in northern Wake County. Cullen?
Well, Deborah, I can say one of the positives of the rain this afternoon that's caused so many problems with trees and power lines, it's actually helped to clear some of the main roads like Capitol Boulevard here, but of course, the storm made its mark earlier. The crackle of sleet on the windshield complemented the wintry mix on the roads. Our trek took us up 401 to Rollsville. Limited traffic cut down on crashes, but it also cut down on business at Rollsville Furniture. They salted the parking lot, but by late morning, manager Kevin Edens saw 0 customers.
See people locking up the brakes, a lot of people sliding around the corners, so everybody seems to be taking it slow.
Pre-treatment and plows kept the Rollsville bypass in relatively good shape. Side roads, not so much. Throughout the morning here in Rollsville, we've seen some snow, some rain, and now you see the sleet bouncing off my jacket. Our next stop, Wake Forest. A sort of quiet cold took hold of the quaint downtown.
The back streets are a mess.
John Stuff grew up in Michigan, driving in conditions like this. His advice, stay home.
You go to areas where there's patches of ice, and then we get to areas where we have slush, then you have some clear areas, so it's just a dicey mix.
No problem for these young sledders who made the most of the day and their slick neighborhood street.
Right now, we have our live Drive 5 units checking out conditions in Durham and Fayetteville, along with a network of live traffic cameras and crew stationed from Roxborough to Raleigh, all to keep you in the loop so you don't have to leave your home. We start our team coverage with Chief Meteorologist Greg Fishel. Greg, I just stuck my head outside. It looks like the wind is really picking up.
It is, and there's really no reason for it to let go anytime in the next several hours because the storm system that's developing is doing just that. It's intensifying.
Of course, down here, this is a look at what's happening in Roxborough with all that snow. What a beautiful, beautiful view that is. Here's another look at the radar in motion, and we've had that heavy band come through, starting to lighten up just a little bit back to the west, but we are in no way, shape, or form finished.
Right now on WRAL News, I'm tracking another wave of winter precipitation. When it arrives, and if more of us will see snow when it does.
We got a little baby over here that's 5 weeks old, and thank God we got the gas logs, so we got heat in the house.
What you need to know in case you lose power.
Plus, trees falling, down power lines, and roads closed. We have team coverage of the winter storm from the Triangle to the Sandhills.
Live from Raleigh, WRAL News starts right now.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Deborah Morgan.
And I'm Gerald Owens. We have live team coverage tonight. Chief Meteorologist Greg Fishel in the HD Weather Center with a look at conditions right now and what we can expect to see overnight.
We'll get to him in just a moment. Our crews have been out all night monitoring conditions across the area. Ken Smith is live in Raleigh. Candace Sweat is in Johnston County. And our Adam Owens is in Fayetteville.
And we will also have coverage from Washington, D.C., where they are getting absolutely hammered by this storm.
We have hundreds of closings and delays reported on WRAL.com. We also have those scrolling at the bottom of your screen.
Now let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Greg Fishel in the Weather Center with the latest on this storm. Greg?
Well, we have good news and bad news. The good news is the precipitation is winding down and shifting off to the north and east of us, at least for the time being. Bad news is the colder air is beginning to come back toward the east.
This was the scene on Glenwood Avenue near the 5 Points area when a tree limb came crashing down in front of a public transit bus. The tree limb got lodged in the bus's windshield.
Ice is the big concern right now. As it accumulates, it's creating slick roads and power outages continue to climb.
I want to update you on another story, some breaking news we've been following up in Vance County with an overturned tanker truck. This is on I-85 at the Dabney Drive interchange in Henderson.
Well, as we get more and more warm air surging in, that raindrop doesn't have time to refreeze until it hits the ground, and it causes that glaze of ice. And that's what we're going to continue to see more of this afternoon.
She is from Burlington, North Carolina, and she is trying to get to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, because she has a cruise to catch. How stressful is this?
Very stressful, because it leaves tomorrow, and I don't want to get delayed tonight and miss it.
Now on WRAL, dangerous, icy conditions outside, and we're expecting light snow on top of that. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner and Mike Moss will tell us how much.
Plus, from the Sandhills to the Triangle, we are live on the roads with updates on the conditions and details on those power outages.
And at least 9 weather-related deaths across 4 states, including North Carolina. We'll have a live update on blizzard conditions out of the nation's capital.
But I am seeing a lot of tree limbs down, and we are actually, I don't know if you can see this, Bill, right now. We're coming up on a tree that's crossed the road, and this road is totally blocked. We are on Highway 50 just near Rand Road, and this is the kind of stuff, that if you're flying along and it's dark and you don't see this, very, very dangerous. This ice is just bringing the limbs and the trees down all around the area.
Thank God we got the gas logs, so we got heat in the house. I got a little baby over here that's 5 weeks old, and we want to make sure he's nice and warm.
It's been very rough over the last 48 hours. We're tracking the number of deaths in weather-related accidents.
And so you really need to be cautious if you're getting out this morning, getting into your car, in your driveway, going down your front steps, wherever you are. It's just a sheet of ice everywhere.
It's absolutely terrible out there.
I actually thought a train jumped the track over there. It was so loud it shook the whole house. Then when I came out the front door to take a look, that's when we found out the tree was laying on top of the house.
Right now on WRAL, snow and ice paired with the strong winds knock out power to more than 100,000 customers all across the state. Crews are still working quickly to fix downed power lines and restore electricity to homes as we prepare for another night of freezing temperature.
In fact, you can see some of these crews behind me still working very diligently to try to get these power lines fixed. And actually, I don't know if you can see on your TV screen, but we're out here and we can see low-hanging lines parallel to New Bern Avenue. And then there's also a few lines going across all 6 lanes of New Bern Avenue. So as you can imagine, not a safe environment for drivers out here. There are several thousand people without power still here in the Triangle area.
Now, to sum it up, the winter system left us a huge mess, and we will be dealing with this at least for a week or possibly more.
David, behind me is a good example of what power crews are dealing with. There's a power line with a tree branch hanging over it, and there's so much ice on the tree that it threatens to fall and take the power line down with it.
Power crews at Mudcat Stadium. Look at the lineup. A team ready to lace whatever's come loose. Bucket up, swing for the trouble spots. And there's a big one in Bailey, Nash County.
Some of the poles did snap. A lot of them just snapped right in half.
5 poles down.
So we've got a 30-man crew that's out here that's going to be working on putting the poles back up and getting power back on for about 500 to 1,000 customers in the area.
Don't have any way to cook or anything. Todd is one of the ones waiting for the lights. Has it been a real hardship?
Well, if I hadn't had gas logs, it would have been.
Midday Saturday, and almost 100,000 people are without power in the Triangle, and even more across the state.
Across the Carolinas, we have about 7,000 line workers.
For those crews, getting power back on quickly weighs heavily. This line is dead. And how many more? The strain is troubling. Ice like this is no holiday.
There's extensive damage here, so our crews are going to be working really fast.
This delivery couldn't come soon enough.
We did okay through the night, but by the time we woke up this morning, oh my gosh, we were freezing.
This crackling fire has been the only source of heat for Patricia Cox and her husband since losing power in their Garner home Friday night.
And this is what I get, a lot of nothing.
They say they called Duke Energy to report the outage, but didn't get a response, so they tried again.
They said that they were having trouble with their reporting system.
As ice was building up on trees and power lines causing widespread outages, Duke Energy's automated system also went down at the height of the storm.
It was an unusual thing that I've never encountered before, certainly, but something that can happen when you're dealing with a high-tech system that's capable of processing more than 100,000 calls an hour.
Calls reporting outages across our area went unanswered.
We believe it's back up and running fine now, and all those calls that were made last night should now be accounted for in the system.
The glitch just fuel to the fire for customers waiting to get their power restored.
I feel very upset and frustrated about that. It's ridiculous.
With the lights still out, Cox has been burning her homemade candles she usually sells. As she watches her profits burn up, she says Duke Energy should ask itself one burning question.
So how do you create a solution to that problem? You get rid of the automated system and you start putting human beings back in the job.
With roads in many areas remaining slick and treacherous tonight, Baker says drivers should be cautious even at intersections where the stoplights are working.
And this is absolutely a beautiful scene out here this morning, but do not let this beauty deceive you. It is very, very icy. We got a couple of tweets from people telling us how bad the roads were in downtown Raleigh, so we wanted to check it out for ourselves. And as you can see, just a solid sheet of ice.
The damage
from the top broken, landed on the porch roof.
The cold.
Like 4 layers of pants and 5 layers of shirts.
The lack of power.
About 6. It started flickering off and on.
Dealing with a winter storm like this can be overwhelming, especially when your water supply depends on power. That's the case for neighbors at Surrey Point in Apex.
Because we have wells, you need electricity for it to pump your water.
Some neighbors here rely on a community well that hasn't functioned for hours.
You know, you can't take a shower. You use the bottled water to wash with and brush your teeth.
It's been hard to use the bathroom.
And neighbors have already been warned. Once the water is back, they'll have to boil it.
In the meantime, they're finding ways of coping.
Hopefully have a fireplace, which there seems to be something wrong with mine. So you run and you go somewhere that has the power.
You just have to be extremely cautious. The ice is bringing a lot of power lines down, trees down on top of power lines, and causing, just impassable areas like this.
And you can see a clearing here. So you have clear spots, and then you have spots that are kind of icy. But you can also see that there's the dusting on the vehicles as well. And I want to show you the weight of the ice on the trees up here. Because of that, they're weighing down. You can see some power lines up there.
We're also looking at a lot of down trees, power lines. You see this power pole snapped in half there on New Bern Avenue.
It's very frustrating for people who have to go another night in the dark. Crews have been out in the Triangle all day and all night, largely because of things like this. Still, with thousands of people in the dark, some say it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Michael Chadwick lost power nearly 40 hours ago and couldn't catch a break when he brought this generator home, only to find out it doesn't work. His only solution...
I'm sitting in my truck staying warm. My good old Ford don't let me down. The heat's blowing away. My heat seat is on, so I'm feeling pretty good in here.
Power crews are working around the clock, but for some, it just can't come soon enough. Over on Chandler Ridge Circle in Raleigh.
Our last conversation with Duke Energy was with some lady from Duke Energy, and she just suggested at the end of the conversation that we go to a shelter.
David and his wife live at the Chandler Ridge Apartments and have been without power since 4 p.m. Friday.
I've got 3 mag lights and this little light here. This is what's been supplying our light.
We know many of you are watching us on the WRAL News app. We have had a social media rapid response team 24/7 since this storm began, and you responded.
Only WRAL News.